Welcome back to Talk of the Town. Well, as we know, the business world is ever changing, so we're going to find out how Wisconsin School of Business is helping UW-Madison students. And here to do that is Francois, who joins us. Now, he is the Albert O. Nicholas Dean over at UW-Madison School of Business. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. So, the business world is ever changing. So let's talk about what future business owners or leaders, need to know how to be successful in this changing business world. What can you tell us?
I think it starts by knowing themselves and be great leaders of themselves, understanding what drives them, their own purpose. And then from there, building on how to work with others, learning how to collaborate. And if I were to add a third element, it would be learning how to learn. Because in today's environment, you're going to be bound to face new situations you're not aware of, and learning how to learn is probably what's going to help you the most going forward.
What an interesting insight, and important too, learning how to learn so that as you go forward you can properly absorb and adapt. What is Wisconsin School of Business doing right now to prepare tomorrow's workforce?
We engaged in a broader conversation with our employers, with our alumni, and then within the school and with the campus to actually determine what are the learning objectives, the learning outcomes. We want to, in a way, embed in our students by the time they come out, to set them on a path to success on a professional level, but also on the personal level.
And let's talk a little bit about higher education as well. So what does Wisconsin School of Business do in terms of transforming higher education? Talk to us about that.
Well, thank you for asking. That's something that's very dear to us. We think we are very well positioned as a school to start a movement to think differently about higher education. And I would point to two particular words, together and outcomes. Outcomes are about what we just talked about. What is the learning we need to embed in our students, and frankly, beyond the graduation, learning over their life, learning how to learn and being there to support them. And together is about a different approach to the learning experience of our students, where it's not just a professor and a class, one after the other. It's much more of a coherent, integrative approach, which is the professors and the co-curricular experiences within the business school, but also in the broader campus, but also how our alumni and corporate partners help us shape the students we train.
Team effort.
Team effort, totally. Yeah. For the benefit of the students, that's the other big element, is when you focus on outcome, naturally you become more student-centric or learner-centric. And that's a big shift that's happening in higher education. We want to be at the forefront of that shift.
Absolutely. Very interesting stuff. You mentioned alumni. What role do you feel that alumni and the greater community can play in advancing business education?
They help us tremendously on all fronts, from designing the learning experiences to actually delivering learning experiences, or even sometimes assessments, like case study competition, where they give us real cases and then they become the judges. They help us by contributing their time to help us recruit and place students, but also to participate in our activities. And then, frankly, in today's environment, we need to recognize a lot of our financial support comes from alumni. And without our alumni and their generosity, we wouldn't be the school we are today, and we wouldn't be in a position to contemplate the future that's ahead of us.
Important. The money piece is important, whether we like to admit it or not.
Well, it's about understanding who pays when with regard to education, and you pay some when you are being educated as your tuition, and then the only reason you could get this great education is because the one who came before you paid some later once they were successful and grateful alumni.
Absolutely.
So can today's generation then pick it up from there and become the successful and grateful alumni in the future? To establish that legacy and continue our presence in the world market.
It kind of all goes in full circle.
Yep.
Let's talk about how the needs and expectations may have changed for some of the incoming students now versus even just as recently as 5 years ago.
I think over 5 years, maybe the biggest change is to be more articulate as to the value we provide, and to be much more efficient in how we communicate with our students. And the most maybe visible example of that is, how do we move away from having a teacher on stage preach to the student to better using communication technology to maybe record some modules on the web, have some of the exercise on the webs, but then have some of the face-to-face time be really dedicated to what cannot be replaced by a computer. So what I would say is much more efficient use of the time of our students by being more focused, again, student-centric, on the outcome they're trying to achieve.
Very interesting stuff. And faculty expectations then need to change as well.
Yeah, it's a whole new world, a whole new technology available, which really is fantastic for faculty. It gives you a much bigger platform
Yes.
and a much better use of your time. The difference again is to focus more on, give you a chance to focus more on the student.
Yeah.
Help the one who need your help, let the others watch the video, and then work more together.
Very
And most faculty we have here at this campus really care about the students, and so it's not that difficult of a change actually.
Right.
If anything, it's giving people a platform to do what they always wanted to do.
Lots of changes. Thank you so much for your insight, Francois from UW-Madison School of Business. We're going to be back. We're going to switch gears a little bit, talk about high school football. That's right after the break. Stick around.